The problem with UBI, Universal Basic Income, is that often it seems the approach is to do something that's actually universal, as in a uniform blanket amount for everyone. This is a problem because it neglects people's individual needs. It neglects the fact that there are people, classes of people, categories of people, demographics, who have higher costs of living. And these people tend to be the ones who couldn't work to make up the difference for their actual cost of living. Oftentimes, when people try to do some sort of basic income, the idea is that people can work to make up the difference. They have to work less because they've got a basic foundational fund, and if that happens to cover their actual cost of living, any work they do goes towards luxuries. But if you're disabled and chronically ill and cannot work, meaning you're somebody who is particularly in need of a universal basic income, a foundational fund that allows you to survive capitalism, then being given a uniform amount that's based on a perfunctory cost of living means that your needs are going to be left behind. So my friend and I have been trying to build something based in mutual aid, and that is predicated on the idea, built on the idea that everybody has their own individual needs. Everybody has their own individual cost of living. So if you need a universal basic income, if you need a survival fund, you create a profile on a platform like Patreon or Ko-fi or Substack or Buy Me a Coffee, somewhere that has monthly subscription options, and you budget for your needs. Right now, my Patreon is set up so that my brother and I could theoretically meet the cost of living standards 3 times the monthly rent and be able to get our own place where we have more autonomy and safety. It's that plus a calculation of, what we would need for food, medical care, vehicle care, emergencies, contributing to other people's mutual aid. I initially had something higher because I was considering what it might cost for us to cover a surgery that he needs, but that may just have to be an emergency crowdfund that we do eventually. But through small sustaining pledges, monthly support from our community, we are slowly building to the ability to have financial autonomy, even though we are too sick and disabled to work consistently enough to get our needs met. Especially with the rise of fascism and the oligarchs in the West cementing their power, draining as many of the resources into their own pockets as possible. We need a system like this that actually supports vulnerable people. The benefit systems in places like the United States and Canada don't actually support people. In Canada, you're more likely to be offered assisted suicide than actual livable support. And in the United States, you're more likely to get a White House covered in gold than medical care you need, or housing, or food. A lot of people are struggling, but there are also people who still have even $5 extra a month that they could spare, that could go towards a vulnerable person's monthly support fund, a vulnerable person's stability, vulnerable people's stability. At the very least, we need to start building stuff like this so that we have a chance to survive, and that we prove to ourselves and the people in power that we need something like this. We need the ability and the systems that allow us to survive and even thrive. That's the whole point of a society, of a community, a collective coming together to help each other survive and thrive, to keep each other safe. The most successful species is the most cooperative one, and no one can survive this life alone. In late-stage capitalism, even the most independent person relies heavily on other people's labor to get through their day-to-day. But you could also go onto YouTube and watch videos of people who have lived in isolation for decades in the Siberian wilderness. Even they rely on mutual aid to survive. Even they rely on mutual aid to thrive. They rely on support from their local communities. They rely on support from the people who visit them to make the videos that you can watch about them. They rely on donations. There's one woman who has been struggling because her entire family died and has been trying for over a decade to find a helper to help her survive. Hyper-individualism is a lie that kills us. It makes us think that we're not allowed to struggle and ask for help It makes us think that it's bad to need help, let alone to ask for it. And it makes us think that it's bad to help others, unless it's done in like certain prescribed ways, like through corporate charities. Alt UBI recognizes that we're all unique, to be cliche, but in that we all have unique needs. We're all individuals with individual needs. A baseline fund based on averages is not going to actually help everyone survive. Alt UBI is a way that people can determine their own cost of living based on their actual needs, and their community can come together and help them reach that goal. We've been calling it an off-ramp from capitalism. It's still rooted in the idea that we have to survive capitalism because we do. But we can't change the system if we can't survive it. So getting people stable this way allows us to change the system. It's a transitional system, an extension of mutual aid. Trying to minimize the emergency crowdfund people have to do just to get their basic needs met. Trying to maximize community stability, because community stability is your stability. If we have systems of support that keep vulnerable people alive and stable, that means that anybody who becomes vulnerable can be kept alive and stable. That includes you. Disability is an inevitability, especially under capitalism and colonialism, especially under white supremacist patriarchy. Social systems, political systems, governmental systems rooted in eugenics, rooted in holding people to impossible standards rather than meeting them where they are, rooted in harm. I'm more interested in systems rooted in care, rooted in actual survival. Alt UBI is a potential system, and it's rooted in the version of the world that I want to build. One where people get their needs met and are taken care of. One where people are allowed to live because they live. Why do I have to earn something I've already got? Why do I have to kill myself just to survive? Doesn't make any sense. If you're on TikTok, I'm tagging this in a playlist of more videos talking about Alt UBI. You can also go check out the link tree in my bio. There are multiple links there referencing Alt UBI. You can learn more. You can find more people to support. You can buy products with Alt UBI graphics on them, QR codes that link to stability funds, survival funds. You buy a coffee mug and leave it in your staff room, and your coworkers scan it. They have the option of pledging $5 a month to support a vulnerable person. And if you're a vulnerable person, if you rely on mutual aid to get your basic needs met, make a Patreon or a Ko-fi. Let me know when you do. I can make you a graphic and start promoting your need. Use the tag AltUBI or AltUBI goal. The system only works as much as we make it work, as much as we work for it and build it. And we're in the stage where we're building it. We're on the ground floor, we're digging the foundation. This is an idea I really believe in. It's something that I think could genuinely shift things and help a lot of people. But that's only if we get people involved. If you're interested in anything I've said, if you have thoughts, opinions, whatever, please let me know. We're still working out the wrinkles, we're still figuring out all of the speed bumps there might be. But as a basic idea, I think it could really do something big, but only if we do it. Thanks for watching this far. You can support me and my brother through our Patreon that's linked on screen. We're disabled and chronically ill, so we need support because we can't work enough to get a reliable, consistent income to get all of our needs met. Beyond that, we also do work that is really valuable. I do a ton of mutual aid work, helping as many other people as I can. And we also rescue items from the trash. My brother is particularly passionate about that in order to minimize the waste in our local area. We do scrap metal salvage as we can, selling the scrap metal to the local scrap yard. We recycle as much as we can. And with the good items we find, we either reuse them ourselves or give them away, donate them, or sell them for a reasonable price to the local community or online. A lot of that work is work we do purely because we're passionate about it and it's important, and we don't make any kind of consistent income from it. So if it's work that you value, you can invest in us by supporting us monthly. Our lowest tier is $3 a month because I used to support a bail fund and Wikipedia for $3 a month each when I was employed. Everything adds up. We have, I think, 2 supporters that are supporting us at $3 a month. And overall, right now, we're making about $30 a month, which can often cover our daily needs, which is awesome. Slow, sustainable growth like that is something that is really important in building something truly revolutionary and truly sustainable. I'm really excited about this idea, and I hope more people get on board with it. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. let's change the world or something.